Chris, the sun may be peeking through the clouds today, but the dark and stormy Saturday night in Richmond created a logistical nightmare for most teams up and down pit road. For Dale Earnhardt Jr. was camp chaos at his motor coach as 8 Bud guys spent the night on the couch, on the floor, any space they could find they filled. For the Hendrick Motorsports race day only guys, they had to fly back last night to Charlotte, got 3 hours sleep, then flew up this morning. But for the Gibbs race day only guys, they spent the night at the Richmond airport in the team's G4. Those are just some of the stories of the camp-created chaos here in Richmond. Dick Berggren?
Well, the Roush guys did not have hotel rooms last night, but they did have a commercial-size airplane. So they all boarded the plane, which took off last night about 1 o'clock in the morning, went to Charlotte, slept in their own homes. Wake-up call was about 5 a.m. Most of these guys have had about 2 hours sleep. Wake-up call, guys, wake-up call. They're a pretty tired bunch. To Steve Burns.
Well, Dick, the Ganassi Racing Team, 20 members from the 40 and 41 team, desperate for a motel room. They stopped at a motel near the airport. Alas, no room in the end, but an alert innkeeper gave them a banquet room. 20 of them slept on the floor, had a little pizza party, couple hours of sleep, and they're back at the track. But this isn't about razor stubble or lack of sleep. It's about an already difficult job becoming that much more difficult when they have to be precise on pit road. Chris Myers.
All right, thanks, boy. And I thought I had a rough night last night. By the way, the last time NASCAR had a Winston Cup race that was started and then had to be completed the next day was at Rockingham last year when Steve Park, of course, won on Monday, and you saw that on FX. One other item of interest, Johnny Benson was released from the hospital. He does have the broken rib. Joe Nemechek in his 10 car, but Benson will be here at the racetrack today in attendance, observing, and actually we'll talk to him through the broadcast. Right now, speaking of the broadcast, the voices of NASCAR on Fox. Let's go up early for a check on what we could expect today with Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy in the booth. Guys?
Good to see Johnny Benson at the track this morning. No hotel rooms, massive traffic jam. A lot of folks slept in their cars out in the parking lot. New sealer on the racetrack, new compound tire. Everything but locusts these teams have had to face coming here to Richmond this weekend.
This is what memories are made of.
Oh, yes.
Or nightmares. I don't know which. A lot of these guys probably didn't want to go to sleep. But anyway, it's going to be a whole new day. And they have had a lot of curves thrown at them, Larry. The track sealer, the tires, and now the weather. I mean, last night was 50 degrees. Today it's going to be about 75. That ought to drive you. Got to be enough to keep you up all night.
Well, and we talked to a lot of the teams over the last couple of days. Probably about a dozen teams came up here and tested over the last month. And when most of them tested, it was record highs in the 90s. So you almost threw those records away. But it's one of those deals where if my car was good last night, you hated to see the rains come. If I was one of those cars that was struggling and based it mainly on maybe cold temperatures, it's like, all right, track's going to be a little warmer today. Maybe it will come to our race car.
Good news, bad news.
Yes, sir. 3 fellows I want to watch very carefully once we get going. Ward Burton and Jeff Green, who were really good until the rains came last night. And Ricky Craven. Remember last night he told us he was good, he went to the front, and then he was bad, and he went to the back, and Dick Berggren asked, how could that be? And Craven said, we have no idea.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he fares.
Yeah, well, the guys can come in the pits here, you know, if they like. I kind of like where Dale Jarrett is. Last night when he stayed out, the reason I wanted to stay out last night, Larry, is because I wanted to be leading this race all night long.
16 hours you'd be leading.
Been up there, and all they talk about, they don't talk about how I got there. They just talk about I've been leading all night.
All right. Chris Myers.
All right, thanks, guys. And you see, we're counting down to the green flag. If you were with us last night, thanks for hanging in there through the rain. And if you're joining us today, get ready to go racing on FX, live in Richmond. We'll be right back.
NASCAR on Fox welcomes you back to Richmond International Raceway for the continuation of the Pontiac Excitement 400. 66 laps completed last night before the rains came. So welcome to, I guess this is our mid-race show.
Restart show. Jump start.
Hi, everybody. Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds and 3-time Winston Cup champion Darrell Waltrip. Boy, the more things change. I mean, what else could you throw at these teams other than a whole change of weather on a track that's just been resealed with a new tire compound, with crews that have had a sleepless night? And here we go. Let's go racing for 334 laps.
Yeah, one thing about this racetrack, though, and I think Larry will agree, with the sealer, The track was going to change anyway. I mean, nobody really knew what they had because they hadn't run enough laps. So I don't think anybody's sitting there all that upset right now. I think some guys think they got a second chance because we have practiced a lot here and we have run a lot here, but not so much with the sun out. But it has been relatively warm, and a lot of these guys tested here when it was real hot here, 90 degrees. So I'm thinking everybody's going to be in great shape.
I mean, we have a 98-degree track temperature right now here before the race starts. That's almost 40-something degrees warmer than last night. But I think you're right. But you know, crew chiefs, we're going to worry about something.
Well, you
no
know,
matter
drivers,
what the
we're going to tell you what we didn't do right.
But I'm like you. I think we have to get racing. We have to see what we have, and then we'll adjust from there. And it's not going to be many more laps before I think we see that second groove, and that's going to change the complexity of everything.
One other thing, I believe with the hotter temperature and the hotter track temperature as well, the sealer will wear off quicker. I think we'll maybe get that second groove quicker than we would have last night, so that's good news for everybody.
And hats off to NASCAR. They stayed with this racetrack long after they lost the track to the rain, long after a lot of folks, I think, including us, would have thrown in the towel. They really did everything they could to try to get this race completed last night, and I know the fans, especially the paying fans, really appreciate their efforts. The drivers and teams did too. Sadly, it was for naught. We're back here today, but under clear sunny skies and ready to go.
Well, I think with the sealer, again, as we saw last night, the water wasn't soaking down in the asphalt, so the track was drying really fast. I mean, in less than an hour, they could get it dry. So they had every reason to hang in there, except when we had a torrential downpour, and then I guess that was time to pull the plug.
Now, even though this race has 66 laps in the books, we are going to have our traditional opening ceremonies, beginning with the invocation by Dale Beavers, Pastor Dale Beavers from Motor Racing Outreach. So let's go trackside.
Welcome back, race fans, to the action track, Richmond International Raceway, for the resumption of the Pontiac Excitement 400. Here to give the invocation, would you please rise? This is Dale Beaver from Motor Racing Outreach.
Let's pray together. Our Father, thank you for bringing us back today safely, for warming us under this Virginia sky. We ask your blessings upon the fans and those who participate on this track today. Cover us all with safety. Let us have an enjoyable day and take us back home for Christ's sake. Amen.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the presentation of colors by the Virginia Air National Guard of Sandston, Virginia, and the playing of our national anthem. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to give the command to restart the Pontiac Excitement 400 here at Richmond International Raceway, would you please welcome from GM Racing, Mr. Jeff Chu.
Drivers, start your engines.
66 laps complete. 4 drivers who did not pit out front. Dale Jarrett, Michael Waltrip, Bobby Hamilton, and Frank Kimmel, and the rest of the field who made pit stops under the caution for rain. That has brought us to lap 66, and 14 hours later, we're set to go racing. Let's go trackside and Dick Berggren.
Rusty Wallace will take the green flag, currently running in 5th position. Wallace, a strong candidate to win the race today. He has won more races here at Richmond than anybody else in the field and led more laps than anybody else in the field. Moments ago, he told me that what the chassis really needed was sunshine. He's got just that. To Steve Burns.
Well, Dick, it'll take more than a short night's sleep to affect Ricky Rudd, because today he makes his 655th consecutive start, a streak that began in 1981. He ties Terry Labonte's record, making him NASCAR's newest Ironman. He also won here in September, Matt Yoakum.
And Steve, the current air temperature is 64 degrees, the track temperature 98.7. That's good news if you're in the Hendrick or Gibbs camps, because that's the conditions that they tested here a few weeks back. A few other teams, though, they may not be quite as optimistic, because there's another group that tested here. The track temp was 151 degrees, the air temp 97. They may have a little more work to do to try to dial in those race cars if the conditions stay that they are right now.
We might give Ricky Rudd 655.5
That's right.
for this restart. How about
sure, I've already done this once.
Right.
Yeah, we'll talk about this track temperature a lot, and what normally will happen when the track temperature comes up. Like last night, if your car was pushing, not turning. Today, as the track gets more temperature, slickens up, then your car will turn less. It's going to turn less and less. Same with if it was loose last night. As the track gets slicker, it's going to be looser. It just loses grip.
Well, and your car's been sitting there all night, and you hop in there, and from a driver's perspective, you're just hoping that it'll handle good on the restart here, that you get off to a good start, because the cars are bunched up the way they are. There's only one groove right now. Last thing you want to be in is an ill-handling race car.
And the best rested people here are likely the drivers. Most of them have motor coaches in the lot off behind turn number 2. So while it's been a tough night for many of the teams, the drivers are rested and set to go, Harold.
Let's see if we can talk to Dale Jarrett. Hey, DJ, this is DW up here in the TV booth. Bud, how you read?
You're loud and clear.
Well, you led the race all night long. You ought to feel pretty good about that.
That's nice. Probably the longest I've ever led one of these things. But we got our work cut out for us. Hopefully we can make some adjustments here on this UPS board and see what we can do today.
This is probably not something you can tell me, but are you going to stay out, or are you going to come in and work on it right now?
We've elected to, we're going to stay out. We thought about it quite a bit, and we've adjusted our air pressure since we were able to do that. And we're going to see what this does for us, so that'll give us an idea of what to do on our next stop.
That makes me feel good, because that's what I'd have done. I'd have stayed out. So, man, I want to wish you good luck. You got a great view there. Keep it there.
A lot.
Only Matt Kenseth comes to pit road. Everyone else stays out, as we'll run a couple of caution laps before we get the green flag to restart the Pontiac Excitement 400.